So guys, moving on to the second point. Well, the second point, as you can say, as you can read it out here, it says fooling people in the name of doshas, money-minded astrologers. Yes, no doubt, the science of Vedic astrology today is in its infancy. Today, it has been designated as a defamed subject, and the credit for it solely goes to these money-minded astrologers who are not even half adroit to the science of Vedic astrology, who are not even half well versed to the science of Vedic astrology. And yes, the only thing that they are good at, yes, they are good marketers and they are good at digging big holes in the hard-earned money that is there in the pockets of the gullible and the deceivable customers. And yes guys, the science of Vedic astrology is in its infancy today. The science of Vedic astrology is designated as a defamed subject today, and the credit for it solely goes to these Vedic astrologers who they so claim to be. But if you look at it on a contextual level, these people are not even half adroit with the principles of Vedic astrology. These money-minded Vedic astrologers are not even half well versed with the theories and the intricacies of Vedic astrology, and all they are good at is that they are big time marketers, and they just dig big time holes into the pockets of the people, and what they excel at is looting people, deceiving the gullible and the easily deceivable customers by scaring the shit out of them, by telling them, whenever a person would come up to them, rather than telling good things, that you have such a planetary combination, you have such a good, very good placed house in Vedic astrology that can bring you fame in this time, in this certain period. They, in order to make money, would scare the shit out of this person by telling them that he has this bad planetary combination in his planetary chart, irrespective of the fact that even if that bad planetary combination is present or not, they would scare the shit out of this person by telling that his chart has the bad planetary combinations or doshas. Doshas is a term in Hindi, that is the term that is used in the Vedic text, but actually in English it means a bad planetary combination. That is a planet that is placed in bad dignity, which might confer onto you its bad influence, its bad effects. So these people, these Vedic astrologers would tell those people that you suffer from the Manglik Dosha, Kendrum Dosha, Kalpsarp Dosha, without even realizing what these doshas do at the root level. And many of these Vedic astrologers who are money-minded would just tell every other person who goes up to them that they suffer from this or that kind of a dosha, just because they want to make money out of it, and they would suggest that this bad planetary dosha or bad planetary combination would create such a chaos in their life that their wife gonna die. They make such blunt statements that are totally full of shit. And literally a person, even if I was not well adroit to the science of Vedic astrology as I am to a fair level, then I would be terrified at the point, and I would be ready to perform to shun off any amount to perform the remedial measure that he suggests me, and I might end up spending 1,000 or even 1,00,000 of bucks in order to curtail or curb the ill effects of that bad planetary combination as he ascertains to be. And especially, for example, Manglik Dosha is one such popular dosha which these Vedic astrologers make use of for making money. And this bad planetary combination or Manglik Dosha, what these Vedic astrologers propagate is that if somebody has this Manglik Dosha or Manglik Yoga in their Vedic chart, they will not enjoy a blissful married life. They will get divorced. They'll marry at a later age. They'll get a wife or a partner that will indulge into the regular bickering sessions with them, and their whole married life would be full of tumult and torture and whatnot. And even they go to the point of making such bullshit statements like, if you marry a Manglik person, your wife gonna die, you gonna divorced soon after marriage, or you yourself gonna die. And there is no such predictive thing. There is no such thing written in the sacred and the sanctimonious Vedic texts that bluntly says that because of this Manglik Dosha, your wife will die or you will get divorced. Yes, it has been termed as a bad dosha in the Vedic texts, but its literal meaning has changed in today's modern times because the dynamics of the modern day are very different. So what was a bad planetary combination back then when these Vedic texts were written can serve to be a very good planetary combination in this modern age. In this modern age, Manglik Dosha or Manglik Yoga is not a dosha. According to me, it is one of those prosperous yogas that can help you bring the most prosperous, luxurious life. And even when it comes to the personal life of yours, the marital life of yours, or the love affairs of yours, it can provide you with those with that love affairs and that marital bliss. And why actually, first of all, let me tell you that why actually is Mars taken into consideration when we match the chart of the two individuals who are to get into an alliance, who are getting into a legal alliance like marriage, because Mars is a planet that determines sexual energy, and sexual compatibility is very important to be determined in marriage. You don't want to land it in a situation wherein yours is a unending urge for sex and you have a partner whose her flames or his flames are gonna die out very soon. Of course, the emotions and what you put into each other, how much of an emotional energy you put into each other, of course that's the pillar of the marriage, but so is as important the sexual compatibility. After all, we are all humans and sex is a part of life. So this is the reason why Mars is taken into consideration while judging that while these two people's sexual energy can synchronize into each other or not. And what does this Manglik Dosha mean? Well, this Manglik Dosha just means that when Mars is in a position that it controls the partnerships or the relationships of any kind in your chart, and this Mars is very strongly placed. And strong Mars, of course, if you have a strong Mars, you got to be aggressive, you will be highly passionate, like a soldier mentality is, you will be very courageous, and like a Mars, you will have a bountiful of sexual energy. So why if one has this yoga, why it is recommended that one should be married to a Manglik person only? Because when these two sexual energies combine, if one has that Manglik yoga and the other has that Manglik yoga, both of these people are equally sexually compatible. They are able to understand the aggression of each other. They will not fizzle out just because one person overreacted at certain instant. The other person would, since he has the similar traits in him, he'll understand that it's a part of life. That I also lose my temper at time, so can my partner be. So if she is losing her temper, I can calm down at that time, and vice versa, and the things like that goes on. And suppose if a person who has this powerful Mars controlling that marriage aspect, what the Vedic astrologers call as the Manglik Dosha. Now if this person who is highly charged up with the sexual energy, with the agility, with a fire burning inside his body. If his person were to go into a relationship, he would lay emphasis on sex much more than. It doesn't mean that he would be kinky in nature, he would be salacious or lecherous, or would be eyeing out on other women. No, absolutely not. He could be a very loyal person, or she could be a very loyal person, whoever has this Manglik Dosha, but it just says that he is sexually very active, he is sexually very driven. Whereas this person, if suppose he were to marry a person in whose chart Mars is not that strong, that is if he were to marry a person who doesn't have this Manglik Dosha, in whose chart Mars is not that strong, and suppose let's Moon is more prominent in his partner's chart, then that partner, contrary to this, what this person is more sexually driven, while the person in whose chart Moon is controlling the partnership aspect, that person would be more about emotions, tears, sentiments, cuddling and being there for each other. And these two energies may take a bit of a time to synchronize into each other. And this is where they say that the problems can arise. But as you say that the opposite energies attract each other, so you cannot bluntly say that these two people would be incompatible, and saying that they would get divorced is totally a blunt statement which has got no relevance, no base. It's absolutely illegitimate to say it. Yes, they may take time to synchronize into each other. Let's say, and the other example could be if this Mars person was to marry a person in whose chart Saturn is more dominant and is controlling the 7th house, or the partnership and the marital things, then Saturn is a planet associated with structure, planning, organization. He's a planet of routine work. So Saturn is a planet who would be very organized. So while this person is very sexually driven, agile, he loves the upheavals, ups and downs in life. He may marry, if he were to marry or fall in love with somebody who is more Saturn dominated, that person, contrary to this person, would be much more mature. He would not be able to understand that why this person is so much sexually driven, or why this person wants upheavals in life, why this person wants to go up one day, wants to go down one day. One day he makes me feel like I am the best person he ever met in life, and the next day he fights with me for no reason. And this is beyond the realm of comprehension of this Saturn dominated person. And that is the only reason that it is said that the only cure for Manglik Dosha is that if somebody has this Manglik Dosha, he should marry a person in whose chart Mars is much more dominant. So these people would, within seconds, they would understand their vibes of each other, and would probably form a synchronization much earlier than these possible Moon and Saturn scenarios that I just talked of. It just literally means that. And what the hell, what a big chaos is created, and what tumult and torture can come into this relationship. All this bullshit is propagated by the Vedic astrologers. And haven't I cleared it out what the Manglik Dosha means at the root level? It just means that you should marry somebody who has a powerful Mars controlling his relationship. Because Mars is a person who doesn't love boredom, who doesn't love sitting at a single place, or who is not that emotional. Of course, he may be emotional, but at the same time, he's a kind of a person like who is blessed with, or who has so much of fire, so much of ignition, so much of energy in his body that he's hopping from one place to the another. When it comes, either when he's doing any physical activity, or when he is in bed, or when he is making love, he doesn't love the stability in a relationship. What he loves is the upheavals in life. One day, suddenly he will, just like I should not have married a person like you, and the next moment he will make that similar girl feel like a princess, and he would go beyond of what is expected of a man. He may make her feel like no other women would have ever felt so wooed or so blessed with a husband like this Mars personality is. But for this person, those zigzags means is a that zigzag, that upheavals is significant of rekindling the romance in a relationship, and that's very good in today's age. In today's age, you move out of the relationship, or you start eyeing out on a other person or another female, or a woman starts eyes on a certain man in society, just because the boredom has taken over her marital life. And this is where Mars comes in handy. This person creates such an atmosphere of ups and downs, upheavals, that he never let that fire dies out in the relationship. His mindset is that you can never judge what this person's reaction would be like, and this is what keeps the other person guessing, and this is what that keeps the romance alive. And why do I say that having this Manglik Dosha can bless you with a good marital life is because of the fact that back in those times, when those Vedic texts were written, sex was just actually taken as a means of producing the offsprings. It was not about exploring each other's body. It was not about a means of sexual enjoyment, and to indulge in any of those practices in the olden times, wherein you are sexually very active or something like that, was considered to be symbolic of greed. It was not considered to be saintly in nature. Back in those days, people who were business minded, even people who were business minded, were considered to be bad. And now, can you imagine a life without money? No, absolutely not. Now the situation is that sex has become an integral part of our life. It's not only limited to producing offspring, but it is a way of exploring each other's body. It can be something that can revitalize your relationship, that can rekindle the fire in your relationship. It is something that has got to do with the integration of mind, body and soul. So this Manglik Dosha becomes a prosperous yoga, I should say, in the modern times, when it comes to the personal life. And when it comes to the professional life, Manglik Dosha is something that can bring you immense amount of fame. Trust me, it can bring you immense amount of fame, and I'll vouch for it. Why am I saying this? Because back in those olden times, being aggressive in nature, being agile, hopping from one place to the another, never staying at a single place, or being a little what do I say, or being a little manipulative in nature, was considered to be symbolic of greed and lust, which was not considered to be good in those olden times. But in those modern times, this is the thing that we require. In order to make it big in the professional world, you got to have that attitude of a soldier. You got to have that aura, that mentality of a soldier, that soldier mindset, that no matter what comes my way, if I have decided on to doing something, no matter how big the obstacle is, no matter how big the hindrances are in front of me, if I have decided that I am to accomplish this task, I'll rather die in pursuit of accomplishing it, or I'll accomplish it. I'll not give in. And this is the kind of attitude which is needed. And sometimes this aggression could be in the form of you being aggressive in marketing. And yes, marketing is all about aggression these days. All of the brands, if you consider a refrigerator or a TV or a mobile brand, there are thousands of brands who are literally against each other. They are filing cases day in and day out, that you copyright cases and all. So there is hell bent, there is cutthroat competition in this dynamic day and era, and this is where Mars can come in very handy and can provide you with immense amount of fame. So guys, before giving on to these gimmicks of these people and just giving out your hard-earned money to these half-adroit Vedic astrologers, just try and realize that many of these doshas, many of these malefic doshas that have been described in the Vedic texts, although their literal meaning in the Vedic texts remain the same, but its interpretation changes in the modern times. And when we interpret it in the modern times, this Manglik Dosha can serve to be a very, very positive dosha. And one another thing, if at all, what all the claims are made by these money-minded Vedic astrologers were true, then you know what would have happened. Literally 70% of the marriages would have ended in divorce, or there would have been sexual incompatibility, or there would have been emotional incompatibility, or there would have been tumult and chaotic situations in the life of 70% of the people who are born on this earth. Yes, you might be surprised to know that 70% of the people who are there on this earth have Manglik Dosha, and I will authenticate it why I am saying this. Manglik Dosha is said to be there in your chart if Mars is present in your first house, in your 7th house, in your 4th house, or in your 12th house. And if this is what is written in the Brihad Bhashra Hura Shastra, which is the Bible of Vedic astrology, which is the book that is considered to be the most sacred and sanctimonious when it comes to complying to the Vedic astrology principles. But if we, and these texts were written in the northern part of India, but if we also take into consideration the Vedic texts that were written in the southern part of India, in those texts, even second house, if the Mars is placed in the second house or the 8th house, it is also considered to be symbolic of you having that Manglik Dosha. So if Mars, actually according to those Vedic texts or Vedic astrologers, Mars being placed in the first house, second house, 4th house, 7th house, 8th house, 12th house, gives you a Manglik Dosha, and total 6 houses, and we have 12 houses in total. That means at least 50% of the people in this world would have Manglik Dosha for sure. And what the stats say of the astrological databases that have been maintained on the internet is that they say that 70% of the people have Manglik Dosha. So does that mean that all of those 70% people suffer the chaotic situations in their marriage? Do these the boys or the girls having this Manglik Dosha marry a divorced lady, or their husband or wife die soon after marriage? As these Vedic astrologers say, do all of them marry late at a late age and they don't enjoy the bliss of a good marital or love affairs? No, absolutely not. Had these claims made by Vedic astrologers been true, love would have been non-existent on earth, but it is existent on earth, and that itself proves that what they are preaching is a total sham.